Hello, guys. Good evening. So, I hope everyone is doing good today. And today we'll be covering the 12th video of our Python interview series. Before we jump to the video, who are we? We are Data Valley, the fastest growing edtech company of 2025. And what we offer in Data Valley is that we can offer you IT solutions, trainings, and placement support. Let's say you have a company and you need a talent pool of people. Yes, we do have people who are skilled enough to meet your company requirements. Let's say, okay, I don't have a company, but how can you help me with my training? Yes, we do provide you with trainings as well. And if you ask in what kind of stream, we have trainings across multiple subjects like data engineering, data science, data analytics, ethical hacking, cybersecurity, Java developer, Python developer, software engineering, whatnot. So whatever the top notch industry demand subjects, MERN stack, web development, agentic AI development. So all these kind of subjects are being taught, and we'll make sure that you are trained in that particular subject. So you can trust us on that. And also on top of that, we also provide you with 100% placement support. So please do visit our website at datavalley.ai to get a bigger picture of what we can offer you. And myself, Franklin, I've almost got 3+ years of experience as a data engineer, and I'm very happy to bring you this interview series where we get to learn a lot of stuff. And good luck in you. Good luck for you to ace your interviews as well. So today it's our 12th video on our Python interview series. And if you're aware, we already started with strings, isn't it? So within the strings method, this is our sixth video. And today we are going to finish learning our methods in strings. So we learned about a lot of methods, isn't it? Split, strip, lower, upper, a lot of replace, find, or find. So these kind of methods, right? And these are very useful in your day-to-day life as a Python developer. And today we'll be finishing our Python methods. So if you would like to get revised, just do revisit our older video. And today for your agenda, we are covering up 5 methods. And those 5 methods are format method, isalnum method, isspace method, islower method, and isupper. So these are the 5 methods that we'll be covering in today's video. What is format method of Python strings? This format method is a string method. Okay, this format method in Python is a string method. And why do we use it? We use it for formatting the strings, providing a way to embed values and expressions within a string and control their presentation. What do I mean by formatting? So you all know what is a format, right? Format is a particular way to represent, or a template, or a particular formula to represent something, right? You have a format for everything, right? Like a template. So to format your strings, what you do is you use this format method, which will help you to represent your values and expressions within a string in a controlled fashion. Okay, so let's say you have a string. Okay, you want to print something, and to print you will have the values and expressions that are derived out from a certain particular Python expression, right? With code running, you will be getting certain values out in your result. So how would you want these values, these results, these expressions to be represented within your? So for this particular scenario, we use a method called dot format, or a format method. And this format method offers more flexibility and powerful alternatives to older string formatting methods like percentage operator. So in the previous Python versions, we used to use percentage operator to do the formatting. But with the latest Python versions, we use this dot format method or fstrings method. We have different methods, but today we are covering dot format method, with which we'll be able to perform powerful flexibility and powerful formatting methods as well. And here is a key feature that we must cover before we discuss the 5 different methods within the format method. The key feature is that it utilizes curly braces within a string as placeholder for values to be inserted. So what happens is that you have a string, okay, a simple string, and within a string you'll be using this curly braces. And why do we need these curly braces? They act as an placeholder. So what do I mean by a placeholder? Let's say you have a question in your exam. Sun rises in the dash. Okay, so let's say it's a fill in the blanks. So you have your sun rises in the dash. So what is this dash? So this dash is a placeholder where you will be filling the answer. So you have a space where you are required to put in certain results or certain answers, certain expression. So before we put all those values, we'll be having an empty space, right? That particular empty space is called as placeholder. In other words, it is a place where you can hold certain values, or it is a holder where you can input certain values. That is your placeholder. So in Python strings, you will use curly braces which will be acting as a placeholder, and these placeholder can take in the values. Okay, now let's see the 5 different methods within the dot format method. The first one is positional arguments. What do I mean by a positional argument? As the name suggests, positioning or a position. So your arguments will have certain positions, right? For example, the first one would be the first one. The second space would be for the second argument. The third space would be for the third argument. It goes on and on. So the values can be inserted into the placeholders based on the position of the elements in the format method. So you will be having certain values within this format method. So before we run the code, let's check this code here. So here is my normal string, right? Print statement. My name is placeholder and I am placeholder years old. So this is our actual string. And to that string, I have added a dot format method here. Dot format, that is your syntax. And within the dot format, I've got 2 arguments. The first one is Alice and the second one is 30. Those are just your whatever the values that you would like to include. And this particular format is based on the positional argument. So what happens is that I've got 2 placeholders here, right? And I've got 2 values here. So what happens, this Alice which is at first position gets inserted to your first placeholder. The value in here 30, which is in the second argument, this second argument gets added to my second placeholder. So that's how your dot format method works for your positional argument. Let's run the code to check how it actually prints it. So if you see here, I've got my name is Alice and I'm 30 years old. But what was your actual string? My name is placeholder and I am placeholder years old. Based on the positioning here, okay, which says Alice and 30, those values have been represented according to their position. Okay, let's take in a scenario. Okay, what if I change the positional values? I put in 30 here, okay, and I put Alice here. What happens now is that based on the position again, it goes in as my name is 30 and I'm Alice years old. Do not think it grammatically right, or do not try to take a meaning out of it. But my point here is that based on the position, whatever you give, it gets printed here. So because you have given 30 here, it just prints my name is 30, and you have given the second value as Alice, and therefore the second placeholder takes the value Alice and it prints I am Alice years old. Okay, so based on the positions, your formatting works to print that. The second type is indexed argument. What do I mean by indexed argument? So your arguments are going to be given an index position, and based on that index number of your argument, you can insert values to your print statement. All right. So by definition, placeholders can include index numbers to specify which argument from format method should be inserted. So what I'll do here is I've got a print statement here. It says placeholder 0 is a placeholder 1 and placeholder 0 likes placeholder 2. So this is how my actual print statement is. And to that, I'm attaching my dot format method, or I'm calling my format method in other words. So dot format, and I've got 3 values, right? John, developer, and Python. Based on your positional indexing, if you don't specify this number, you'll be getting like John is a developer and a Python, if you don't give the number. If you notice here, I've got a number here which represents the index value. So what is the index value here? So index value here is John has the value 0, developer has the index value 1, Python has the index value number 2. So 0, 1, and 2. And when I give the particular index positioning here, 0, 1, 0, 2, whatever the positional value here is, it gets to print here, okay, based on the index number. So let me run this. So if I run this, you can see that John is a developer and John likes. How did I get the John printed twice? So John has the index value 0, and in here I've got 0, and in here I've got 0. Okay, so whatever the position doesn't matter in your format method, but you take the index value, what it corresponds to, and you take it, and then you print it in your print statement. All right, so that is how you use your indexed argument. And if you ask me what is a keyword argument, so for the keyword argument, the placeholders will be named to the corresponding values. Okay, sorry. What happens is that your placeholders will take in certain keywords. Okay, it is not keys, it takes the keywords. Be sure about it, because using keys is a different formatting method. So that's why, as a pre-information, I'm telling you this. So for this, you will be printing your expressions or values based on the keyword. So what are the keywords? So how do you get a keyword? That should be the actual question. What you do is, for this dot method, dot format, and if you see here, I've got item is equal to laptop and price is equal to 1200.5000. Okay, 5010. So this is the value. But if you see here, I've got equal to here, item is equal to laptop, price is equal to 1200.5010. This is my format method, and this is my string. So how do I represent that in the string? Within the string, so if you see here, for positional index, we didn't give any value. For index arguments, we gave the index numbers. And for keyword arguments, you provide the keyword. Okay, what is the keyword here? So for laptop, I've got the keyword item. And for numeric value, 1200.5010, I've got the price as my keyword. So what I'll do here is, I'll put in here item as my first keyword, and then I'm giving another keyword here as price. Okay, I'll explain this colon dot 2f, but just understand that I've got item and price here as my keyword. And now when I print this, it gives me a statement saying the product is laptop and its price is 1200.50. How did it fetch the value? So item is equal to laptop. Therefore, the laptop gets printed here. And how did it fetch the price? Price is equal to 1200.5010. But what I've got printed here, 1200.50. Why is that? If you notice here, after the price, I mentioned 2f. So what happens is that my print statement will take the value and it'll get to print only the decimal value up to two spaces after the decimal dot. Okay, so after the decimal dot notation, I've got four values, right, in my actual keyword argument. But now what happens is that I've represented saying that I just need dot 2f. So only the two values get printed in our print statement. Okay, so this is how keyword arguments differ to your positional and index argument. Now the fourth one is format specifiers. Okay, so now these format specifiers, I wouldn't call them a separate method, but I just want you to get to a flow or understand it better. That's why I've given a number. But if you ask in general, this format specifier or a way to define or specify how do you want your format values to be printed. Okay, so within the curly braces, format specifiers can be used. So we already learned about the curly braces. They are the placeholder, and within this placeholder you will mention the values. For a positional index, you don't mention anything. For index argument, you give the index number, and for your keyword argument, you provide the keyword. And now what you do is you specify. Okay, you represent how do you want to format your specifiers. So these format specifiers are mentioned in here. Okay, so what does these do? The format specifiers can be used to control how values are presented. Example, alignment, padding, precision for numbers, date and time formatting. So these are different ways, or the different things that you would like to mention your specifiers about. For example, in our previous keyword argument, if you see here, I've got a colon and then dot 2f, right? What is this? It is again an format specifier. So I have specified here get only to the two precision values. So 1200.50. So based on that, this value has been printed. All right. So if you take in here, I'm using colon and then I'm saying greater than 50. So what happens is that this is how we specify the padding values. Okay. So let's see how it works. So I've got a print statement saying number colon, And then within the placeholder, I will specify the format specifier. And within the format, dot format, I'm giving the value. So this is basically an positional argument, but with more of the format specifier mentioned. Now when I run this, you can see that I've got number is 2, and I've got plenty of spaces here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So what has happened? It has padded to 15 values. Okay. And you might be wondering, why did I say 16? If you notice here, number, colon, and I've got a space here, right? That's for this is included as well. So the first space is part of your print statement. And because I said 15, the value has been padded to 15 spaces. All right. So that is how you use your format specifiers. And basically, this is like controlling how you want your values to be. At next, we have accessing attributes and dictionary keys. And this is where you need to remember, which I said earlier. So I said keyword arguments are different, keys are different. So in dictionary, you have something called as key and a value. So how do you represent a dictionary? You mention it using curly braces, and then you mention your key first, and then use colon, and then represent your value. So to mention the next key value, you provide a comma and separate them, right? That is how your dictionary is. So now what you do is you print based on your key from your dictionary. Let's see how that actually works. Placeholders can directly access attributes of objects or keys of dictionary passed to format. So whatever the format, okay, so first of all, you need to specify what dictionary you're using within your format method. Okay, so only if you mention it, your Python code will be aware that, okay, you are trying to access the keys from this particular dictionary. Okay, and then you'll be able to access attributes of objects or keys of dictionaries passed to the format method. So in here I've got a dictionary, right? Data is equal to curly braces, key value, comma, key. This is our basic dictionary. So in here, if you notice, for my print statement, I'm saying name colon. Okay, there's a space here, and this is still a part of your string. But let's just focus on our placeholders. So within a placeholder, I've got here data, square bracket, name. And then I've got another placeholder, curly braces, data, square bracket, age. So what happens here is that for this data dictionary, get my name. Okay. From this data dictionary, get my age. So the name column will be able to access, and you'll be able to access age from this dictionary column. So when I print this, you can see that name is to Bob, age is to 25. So whatever the key values I have, I'm able to access the value based on the key representation. Okay, so these are the different methods of using a dot format method. And now let's jump to our next one. What is isalnum method in string? The isalnum method is a built-in string method used to check if all the characters in a string are alphanumeric. Alphanumeric characters include letters A to Z, capital A to Z, and numbers 0 to. So first things first, isalnum is a built-in string method. And what this isalnum method does is that it helps you to check, okay? It helps you to verify if all the characters in a string are of alphanumeric type. So what do you mean by alphanumeric? So alphanumeric is nothing but alphabetic and numeric. So this is just a clipped word, okay? That's why it is called as alphanumeric. So as long as you have your alphabetic or a numeric or a mix of both alphabetic and then numeric value, then you are fine, because your string is considered to be alphanumeric. So you're verifying basically if my string is alnum or alphanumeric. So that is your short form, right? Alphanumeric is further cut down into alnum. So you're just verifying if your string has alnum. Let's talk about the behavior. Your output can be of two formats, which are of a Boolean value. Okay, it'll return true and a false. So two Boolean values, true or a false. And for true, if all the characters in the string are alphanumeric and the string contains at least one character, okay, you at least need one character, or you need to make sure that all the characters in the string are alpha. So under these two conditions, you'll be getting a true value. There are chances you'll be getting false if the string contains any non-alphanumeric characters. So what do I mean by non-alphanumeric character? So we do know what is alphanumeric, right? So anything that is of letters between A to Z, either capital or lowercase, and the number 0 to 9. So talking about non-alphanumeric characters, it can be a space, a special symbol like exclamation, at the rate, in symbol like any symbol or a sign. In that case, you'll be returned with, and also you'll be returned with false if your string is empty. Think logically. You are providing an empty string and you're asking, okay, check if the particular string is isalnum. What do you even have there to be compared against? So you will be returned with the, what is the syntax? The syntax is string dot isalnum method. So string is in which string you would like to run your comparison against, and your isalnum method. And does it take any parameters? Your isalnum method is called on a string object and it does not take any arguments. So you cannot provide any arguments, and if you try to provide an argument, you will be left out with error. Now let's run our first example. So I've got here a string with only alphanumeric character. So Python is alphabetic and 1 to 3 is numeric. So I've got all the alphanumeric characters. And now if you see here, I'm calling that to a different variable. Rest1 is equal to string1 dot is alnum. So string1 is my original string and then is alnum. So if I run this, I'll be able to get true. Why? Because Python 123, which is an alpha numeric. What if I have a string with only alphabetic then? Yes, we talked about alphanumeric. Yes, in the above string we had both alphabetic and numeric value. That is fine. But what would happen if I have only a string that has only letters in it? So if someone drops your answers in the comment section, I'll be more than happier to interact with you. So this has all alphabetic. And in next scenario, I've got both. Oh, sorry about that. And in the next one, I've got only strings here. So string with only numbers, right? So for both of these scenarios, what would be the output? Has someone put in the comment section? Oh yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, your answer is very right. So if I have only alphabetic, I'll be still written with true value. And you might be questioning me, isn't that alphanumeric? And let me break down your confusion. When you're looking for if something is alphanumeric, as long as you have your alphabetics or numerics or both your alphabetics and your numeric values, it doesn't matter. It'll be returned with the true. The only condition or an exception is that you shouldn't be having an empty string or a string that has just your white space character. Okay, we'll run to that. We have time so that you get a better idea. So string with only numbers. This will still return me true. Alright, string with space. What if I have a string and a space? We learned that an white space character might give you false. Is that true? I don't think so. You just taught that to us. Yes, you're right. But now I'll show you the example clearly. So if I give this here, I've got Python space 123. In here, space is an part of your non-alphabetic or non-numeric or a non-alphanumeric character. So what this isalnum does is that it verifies if it has only alphanumerics. So no white spaces, no symbols, no signs. If you have even one space, you saw here, right? Even if it's a space, I'll be written with a false value. Okay. Then what would happen if I try to verify a string that has some symbol in it? Let's try to run that. When I try to run with the symbol, it will still return me false. So based on your alphanumeric, all your characters must be either alphabetic or a numeric or a alphanumeric. Simple as that. It doesn't let you to have a symbol, a space or anything. Okay. Even if you have a single space or any kind of sign or a symbol, you'll be written with a false value. What if you have an empty string? Okay. I've already said you, when you provide an empty string, you don't have any value to be compared against, right? Isn't that true? In that case, because you're not even comparing, you're obviously or logically speaking, you'll be getting an answer. Now let me run. Yes, we have got false value. So that is all about your isalnum method. Now let's learn about our isspace method. This isspace method is a built-in string method which is used to determine if all strings within a string are white space characters. Okay, so you have your, and to that string you verify if all the string within a string or white space character. So what did we see in isalnum? You needed all the characters within a string to be alphanumeric, right? Not even one white space is allowed or a symbol is allowed. And quite opposite to that, for your isspace method, all you need is only a non-case character, or in other words, you must have only white space characters mentioned. Let's talk about the functionality. It would return true if the string contains only white space characters and is not. So you will be trying to get your string and you'll try to verify it, right? It would return true if the string contains white space character. So we will learn in detail what are the white space characters. But as long as your string has only white space character and it is not empty, you will be getting a true value. And you will be getting false if the string contains any non-white space characters. Okay? Anything exceptional to your white space character, you'll be getting a, or if your string is an empty string, then you'll be getting the value. And I see, as I said earlier, we'll be talking about the white space characters, because only if you have your white space characters in your string, you'll be returned with true. Now let's see what are those white space characters. White space characters can be a space, okay, just an empty space as you see here, just a space, or a horizontal tab, or a new line, or a vertical tab, or a form feed, or a carriage return. So these all can be considered as an white space character. And as long as you have only white space character, you will be returned with a true boolean value. Talking about the syntax is string.isSpace method. So string is the name of the string that you would like to check on. Okay, the particular string where you want to verify it. So you call that string first, and then you have your isspace method. Okay, isspace method, and does it take any arguments? Your isspace method will not take any parameters, and if you try to mention any arguments, you will end up with an error. Okay, particularly in this case, you will be written with a type error. Now let's verify this in our code implementation. I've got a string here that has only white spaces, so I've got 3 spaces here, and I'm calling it into a new variable called rest1, and this is my, so this is the string I would like to verify, right? String1. So I'm calling that string1 with the method name. So dot isSpace. Now when I try to run this, it would return me true or false. It will return me true because I need to have only white space character, and space is part of your white space character. And next, what if I have a new line, a new tab, and a new line, a tab, and a space? In that case, it is still part of your white space character. Therefore, you will be returned with a true value. And you have next string called as hello world. And with this method, you can see that, sorry, for this string, you can see that I've got a cased character, right? I've got hello and a world, h with h in uppercase and world with w in uppercase. If I try to check for isSpace method in here, so what does your isSpace method do? It checks if there is any white space character, or it's in, not any. It checks if all the characters within a string are white space. In here, I've just got one white space and the rest are cased characters. So it can be lowercase, uppercase, a number. It doesn't matter. It'll return me false. And next one, I've got a string that has an empty string in it. So not even space. I don't have anything there. It just has an space there. Sorry, it doesn't have even a space there. So when I try to run this, it'll return me false value again. Okay, string 4 dot isSpace method, when it tries to check it against the empty string, you don't have anything to compare against. Therefore, you'll be getting a false value. The next one is, I've got a string here that says white space A, and white space. So we have got 4 white spaces and one cased character. So what would happen in this scenario? In this scenario, it would still return me. So no matter how many white space characters I have, okay, the answer is very simple. If you have a single non-white space character, you'll be returned with a false value. So here you see I've got false. So this is how you use your isspace method, and it is a bit different to your isalnum method. Okay, isalnum verifies if every character within a string is alphanumeric, and your isspace method looks for if every character within a string is white space character. Then I've got, how is lower method different to islower method? So you have learned about the lower method, right? What does your lower method do? Your lower method converts your original string into, I mean, if it has any uppercase letters, it turns your elements into your lowercase format. So if you have a capital A, it will convert into a lowercase. If you have an uppercase any letter, okay, basically those uppercase letters are converted to the lowercase format. So how is lower method actually different to your islower method as we see now? What happens with your islower method is that it checks, it doesn't convert. Your lower method will convert, and your islower method, okay, the method that we are seeing now, your islower method will verify if all the characters within a string are lowercase. So by definition, the islower method is a built-in string method used to check if all cased characters within a string are lowercase. So what is the return value? It returns a boolean value. We all know about it. And what are the Boolean values? The Boolean values are either true or false. And on what case would it return true? It will return true if all cased characters in the string are lowercase. So I'm verifying it against a string, and that particular string, all the values must be of an lowercase format. As long as all the characters are in their lowercase format, you'll be written with a true value. So what are the cases then I'll be getting false? If the string contains any uppercase character, that is the crucial point here. So if you have any uppercase letters, you'll be written with a false value. Does it just end there? No. So what if it contains not cased characters? Okay. What are non-cased characters? So anything that is of not uppercase or lowercase. Okay. Or in other words, your cased characters are alphabetics and your non-cased characters are anything like symbols, digits, signs. These are non-cased characters because for those symbols you don't have uppercase or lowercase, right? Only for your cased characters you have uppercase and lowercase. That is your alphabetic. If you have an symbol, what would happen is that you will be written with false, and there are few exceptions which we will learn in the key characteristic. Case sensitivity, which specifically checks for lowercase alphabetical characters. So for your given string, I mean you might have uppercase, but it first checks if there is any lowercase alphabetical characters. And as soon as if there is a I mean non lowercase or if there is an uppercase letter, you will be written with false. First thing. Secondly, it ignores non-cased character. So we earlier saw that if you have any of the non-cased characters, you will be written with false, right? So I'll explain how does that differ to your key characteristic mentioned in here. Digits, symbols, and whitespace characters are ignored when determining if the string is lowercase. First, their presence does not cause islower method to return false unless they are the only characters in the string and there are no cased characters. I hope you understand the difference here. So you have a string, and to that string you must have at least one lowercase letter. Okay? In that case, even if you have one lowercase letter, and if you mention symbols, white spaces, signs, it doesn't make a difference. You'll be written with a true value. If you don't have any lowercase letter and all you have in your string is symbols, signs, numbers, in that case you'll be written with a false value. Returns false for non-empty strings or strings with only non-cased characters. So that is what I was telling you. So if you have an empty string or a string that has only non-cased character, so as long as it accompanies a lowercase letter, you'll be written with true. But if it has any non-cased character like a number, a symbol, a sign, in that case you'll be written with a false boolean value. Now let's try to check it with our code implementation. So at first I've got a string here saying hello world. So is hello world everything in lowercase? So I've got here is lower, right? And now, because everything is of lowercase, what is the expectation? You'll be getting true, right? So you're getting true value here. And now I've got here Python 123 exclamation mark. Hello world is fine because everything is of lowercase form. So what would be the behavior if I have numerics? So I've got 123 exclamation mark, right? And in this case, what would happen is that I'll be still written with. Why is that? Because Python is lowercase, and when you have lowercase letters here, all your numerics and your symbols, okay, they get to be ignored. So your 123 exclamation mark is ignored, and therefore you are given a value. And next, I have a string called this is a test. Is everything lowercase in this? Everything in here is often lowercase. So would this return me true or false? So it'll return me true, right? Everything is of lowercase as you see here. Hello world. Here I've got this is a test, but with space here and a dot here. So that's the difference. So in hello world we didn't use a dot here, but now I've got a dot, which is again a symbol, right? This is a test, and I've got space and your symbol, and it doesn't matter. I'll be still getting. What if I have the hello world but with the H in a capital letter? Okay, so in here would I be thrown false? Yes, I would be thrown false in this one. So when I try to run this, it gives me false because I've gotten one single uppercase letter. Okay, therefore be sure that your string doesn't have any uppercase letter. Of next, I have Python, which is all uppercase letter. What would happen in this case? It's very obvious. You'll be getting false. Then I have got mixed case string. So I've got capital letters, I've got small letters. Or in Python context, I've got both uppercase and lowercase letter. In this case, when I try to run it, it'll give me false. The reason is simple. I want everything to be lowercase, but in here I've got capital letter and small letter. What if I have numerics 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? In this case, when I try to run it with islower method, okay, it is non-cased character first of all, and secondly, it's all numeric. In this case, I'll be thrown out false. So as long as at least I have a character there, okay, I'm just adding a there, will return me true because at least I need one cased character. If a cased character is not present, then I'll be written with false. Of next, I have only symbols in this: exclamation, at the rate, hash, dollar, and percentage. This would still return me false because I don't have any cased character. So let's say I put in another cased character like B or a C. Okay, I've got a cased character. In this case, it would return me true. Okay, so at least if you have one cased character and that is of a lower case, you'll be not written. And now I've got another string that has got three spaces in it. Would it return true or false? It'll again give me false because there is just white space. But exceptionally, if I just put another lowercase here, then I'd be getting true. Okay, you need single cased character at least. If not, it'll throw out an error. Sorry, it'll throw out an false value. And of next, I've got an empty string here. I've already said you many times. If you have empty string, you don't have anything to be compared against. You don't have anything to be checked against. And in this instance, you'll be getting a false value. All right. So this is your islower method. So your islower method verifies if all the characters or at least the cased character in your string is of an lowercase, and quite opposite to our islower method, we have isupper method. So what does this isupper method do? This isupper method is a built-in string method that is used to determine if all the cased characters within a string are uppercase. So as long as the characters within your string are uppercase, then your isupper method will verify and give you the boolean character. We will talk about how on what scenarios would it return true and on what scenarios would it return false. You'll be returned with true. So there are two conditions. At first, you need at least one cased character. As long as you have at least one cased character, you will be given a true value. And secondly, it can be one cased letter or more than one. All the cased characters must be of an uppercase format. Okay. First, you need at least one cased letter, and then second, you need all your cased characters to be of in an uppercase format. And on what circumstance would you be written with false? You will be written with false any of your character in your string or of a lowercase format. So in isupper method, you are verifying if all the characters are of uppercase, right? Even if you have one small or one smaller case letter, you'll be written with false. And if the string contains no cased character, okay, so there is no alphabetics at all, and without any alphabetical characters, if you have only non-cased characters like numbers, symbols, or spaces, and in that scenario, you will be returned with a false again. So at least you need to have one cased character that should be of an uppercase format, and in any other circumstance, you will be returned with a false. Talking about the syntax is string dot isupper method. It's pretty much straightforward, right? So the string represents what string you are calling it on, and then you've got isupper method. So your isupper method will check if the value is of an uppercase. Then does it take any parameters? The isupper method doesn't take any parameter. And if you try to mention any parameter, you'll be written with the false. Now let's check it in our code implementation. At first, I've got a string that is all uppercase letter. So hello space world, and everything is of an uppercase format. In this case, when I run it, I'll be getting a value true because hello is capital, world is all capital, and I've got white space. What if I have a lowercase letter? So I've got the same hello world, but only with H in hello capital and W in world to be capital. When I try to verify if everything is upper, your answer is straightforward, right? No, only the first two letters of my word are uppercase and rest are of lowercase. So I've got false here. And what if it contains only non-cased characters? So non-cased characters here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What if I try to check this? So I don't have any cased, right? So first of all, I don't have any cased character. So it's a pretty much straightforward because numerics, spaces, symbols, signs, those are considered to be. See here, I've got false. But what if I at least have one cased character? So I'm putting in A, okay? 1, 2, A, 3, 4, 5. And in this case, I'll be returned with, because first condition is at least I need to have one character, I mean one cased character. and that particular cased character must be uppercase, and all other non-spaced characters or non-cased characters will be ignored. Okay, so therefore I'll be return with false if everything is numeric value. Then I've got an empty string. The empty string, right? No spaces, no values, no cased character, nothing. What if I try to check my empty string? It's a clear cut answer, right? If you have an empty string, you don't have anything to compare against. In that circumstance, you'll be written with an obvious false. What if you have a string with spaces only? Okay, you have got space, 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 so three spaces. And what if you try to check it against isupper method? So what does the isupper method do? It verifies if the characters within a string are uppercase. And what you're doing here, you're giving an string that has only white space character. So in this circumstance, you'll be written with the false value. But there is an exception. What if I have a cased character that is of uppercase? In this way, I'll be getting true because my conditions are met. I need at least one cased character, and that cased character must be open capital letter, and all my non-spaced characters on all my spaced characters or non-case characters will be ignored, and therefore I'll be written with a true value. So I'm removing it, I'm running it, I'm getting a false value. All right, so this is all that we learned today. So a quick summary recap before we end this session. We learned about the format method. So format method is a way to express or to present your results in a particular controlled fashion. So you can print your results in a format that you wish. So we learnt about five different types of formatting technique: the positional, the index, the keyword, the key value format, and format specified. And then we learned about isalnum method. So your isalnum method verifies if all the characters within a string are alphabetic or numerical. So if you have anything exceptional to is uh, alphabetical or a numerical value, you will be written with a false even for a space. And then we learned about isspace method. Your isspace method verifies if all the characters within a string are of an white space character. So white space characters like a space, new line, tab, vertical tab. So all these will be considered as an isspace method, will be considered in your isspace method, and you'll be given a true value. And then we learned about islower method, and islower method different to your lower method by the way they convert. So your lower method will convert your uppercase to lowercase, and your islower method will verify if all the characters within a particular string are of a lowercase format. So that is how you use your islower method. And then we learned about your isupper method. This is upper method is going to verify if all the characters within a string are of an uppercase format. So even if we have one non-uppercase character, okay, one smaller case letter, and you'll be written with an false. So make sure you don't provide with an empty string or a string that has only white space characters. So even if we have white space character, symbol or digit, whatever, as long as you mention at least one cased character that is of an uppercase, in that scenario you'll be written with a true value. So that is all for today's session. And before we finish our session, I would like to give an extra about our company. We are Data Valley, the fastest growing edtech company of 2025, and we offer IT solutions, training, and placement support to you. So if you have any queries on our team, please ring to us by visiting our website at datavalley.ai. And then we have our headquarters in US, UK, and also we have 4 centers in Hyderabad. So if you're someone nearby there, please visit our company or try to ring to the particular number, whatever is based on your geolocation, and we'll be able to help you as well. And a good thing about our company is we are specific to regions as well. So we have our YouTube streams in Telugu channel, in Telugu language, also in Tamil as well. So if you are one of those particular regional language speaker, do check out those channels as well. So this is all for today, and this is Franklin signing off. Until I see you in the next video, good luck with your interviews. Take care, bye bye, enjoy the rest of your day.